On the quiet streets of Colonial Williamsburg, history isn't just preserved, it's alive. And sometimes still calls out after dark. We'll be discussing the Peyton Randolph House, built more than 3 centuries ago and whispered to be the most haunted home in Virginia. Politicians dined there, soldiers marched past its doors, and dozens of souls are said to have never truly left. Visitors speak of cold hands on their shoulders, voices that echo from empty halls, and a shadow that climbs the staircase long after midnight. Tonight, we unlock those doors and walk where the living and the dead share the same address. I'm Jake, and we will be discussing more haunting of the Peyton Randolph House.
Indeed.
We got Steve and Liza here. And now that we've gotten that sweet intro out of the way.
That was slick, by the way. That was good. I liked it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope that they did too. We covered a show a long time ago where Steve went to the Peyton Randolph house and he took a picture of some really cool picture. Very captivating evidence of ghostly presence, I'm going to say. So I wanted to start off by giving a little bit of a recap on that real quick. We won't take too long with that, but I'll also have the link in the description to the original show if you'd like to go ahead and go back and watch that. But first, I want to go ahead and take a second to show you what we talked about in the first show. So I'm going to show you 2 pictures, and Steve's just going to tell you about that for about a minute, and then we're going to move on to this second trip because now we've got a whole lot going on over a period of time, and we'll kind of talk about that as we go. So first, what I want to do here is share this picture here. So Steve, what are we looking at here?
Oh, yes, this is the entrance to what I believe is a young lady named Elizabeth Harrison, who was the niece of, get ready for it, Elizabeth Harrison, before she became Elizabeth Randolph. And in the photo, it is a little cropped in to kind of get the money shot, if you will. But that particular area was not really what I was aiming to shoot, because what I see in that photo and what everybody else sees now, I didn't see during that photo being taken. That bed, hammock thing, whatever it is, just in the corner there was actually what I was looking at. And just like a lot of things back 300 plus years ago, there's been a lot of changes in how we go about our lives. And of course, sleeping on something like that must have been terribly uncomfortable. Of course, they were normal beds in the house too, but that was a room that was kind of a gathering area for the second floor where some of the maids and the children would kind of gather, and there were some bedrooms off of that. So the foot photo was something that
So this is the foot right here. This is what we're talking about. We call this the foot photo. And this right here, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, this is just a little area where people can look in the room but not enter, right? It's
a steel barrier with plexiglass to kind of allow you to look in and see things, but keeps people from hopping or going in there and stealing anything of any importance or value.
So why I wanted to show them this was to now show them this so we can explain. You were talking about this bed, and we're going to give a better picture of the bed. And I kind of wanted to use this because I had asked you to take this picture while you're there so that we could really get a good idea of what kind of space we are looking at where that wall is. Because anybody that wanted to go ahead and say that somebody was kind of, up against the wall perhaps or something like that, we're going to go ahead and share right now what that looks like. And this is Steve when he went back. Your back is against the wall. Is that correct there?
My butt and back are touching the wall there. And
wow.
You can see the wall in the foreground with the wallpaper and everything. That just continues on past that door jamb. So it's maybe 8 inches or so that you get back there.
Which isn't a whole lot, which honestly, and we discussed this on the previous show. And like I said, we're not going to go too deep into this because we do have a lot to cover here with Steve's last trip to Colonial Williamsburg. But looking at Steve there with his back up against the wall, you see him in the exact same place as you did in the first video. And that is a house where they bring tours through. And that's one thing we talked about in the first show. And I want to talk about that a little bit real quick right now is that for anybody that says, oh, there's an object there, what object would be there? They don't have just random objects floating around or trash or anything in these houses. This is a very clean environment where they do tours. Anybody that's been to Colonial Williamsburg, there's not going to be just stuff laying around like that. And that wasn't there when they did the tour. He took the picture and that showed up there. And now that we've kind of talked about that a little bit, I'm just going to go ahead and real quick, we're just going to go ahead and pop back to that other picture for just 1 second, just to, so you can get the full kind of effect of what we're talking about. And I've even got a picture here I'm going to share that's back a little bit more. So that way you can kind of get a better idea of the whole perspective of this picture. And then we'll move on from there. And this real quick is the original picture before I zoomed in for the show that we did before. And like I said, I'll keep that link in the description if you want to go back. But this is the larger picture, and that's what you're looking at. And I'll be damned if that isn't the shape of a foot. Now, I'm a huge skeptic, and
As
but
am
I mean,
I,
I really,
or as
I really
as
couldn't
I
tell you
used to
what
be.
else that is. I mean, what's that?
I said I am too. I mean, you know me. You've known me for a long time, and I caught a lot of flack for kind of assuming that that was a foot. I've shown it to several different people over the years, and I had mentioned before that this was taken in 2017, just before Christmas, and so I want to say it was with a S9 Galaxy smartphone. And so it's made the rounds over the years to different. I've uploaded it to the new phones as all your data and pictures and everything do. So there hasn't been a whole lot of degradation, I believe, in the image quality, but it's also not something that is clearly defined either. And I understand a skeptic's mindset, or the fact that well, he's just faking it or he's messing around. If I was faking it, I would have probably done something a little more compelling than what appears to be the left foot of a female. So, but no, that was
I would
something
hope so.
again that was just kind of caught by accident, and I did bring it up to several people that actually work there too, because as you or I go to our, call it 9 to 5s. Even I wish it was 9 to 5, and do our thing every day. These people live this lifestyle. It's not just their job, but during the day, but they live this lifestyle. And I've spoken to several people who have both worked and done tours in the Peyton Randolph House,
Did you
and
show them
or
this picture?
I have. And each time I've had people just gawk over it, going, "Oh my God, that's amazing!" And then they usually followed up with a story that have experienced at some point in time, not just in the Peyton Randolph House, but on the grounds of Colonial Williamsburg itself. But as you had alluded to, this house is over 300 years old, and it is one of the original houses that is intact. There was a small portion of the house that burned down, I want to say in 1800. Don't quote me on that, but I know that that wasn't part of it. That area was the original layout and boards and walls and everything else from back in the early 1700s. I want to say 1704 was when it was built, or somewhere close to that. So it's really, really cool. And something like this on its own, and like I stated, and Jake, you are a big skeptic. I'm always trying to disprove things. I'm always trying to make a rational understanding of what I've either seen or heard in everyday life. It's no different than watching a horror movie and seeing, shadows in the corner of your bedroom all night long, versus if you watch the Disney Pixar movie, you're going to sleep fine. So I understand there are certain things that go along with this, and we're kind of, I guess, raised to have disbelief towards this sort of thing. And
Well, I'm still a skeptic. I'm not sitting here like I'm not fully convinced by anybody's evidence. I didn't experience this myself, but I do want to say that personally, Steve and I have a relationship that goes back, and I've spent some time looking at this picture and some of the new stuff we're going to go over tonight. And I mean, and in total honesty, without actually being there, I can't. I mean, I really can't deny a lot of the stuff that's coming out of there, and doing some research on this, because this is actually becoming a much larger topic for us than just that one show. Now we're doing show 2 and possibly show 2 of many on this topic, as Steve likes to go back there. And we're actually planning a trip ourselves at some point. Doing the research, I mean, this is a very, very haunted area. I mean, a lot of ghost hunters have gone out there. A lot of people witnessed a lot of things. And I did want to comment on that really quick before we move on to the new stuff. I was watching an alien show last night. And why that's relevant is this. I was sitting there thinking to myself, watching this alien show, I was like, everybody thinks these guys sound crazy. Hell, I think these guys sound crazy. But it's one of those things that it's happened to so many people. And there's so many people that believe in extraterrestrials. And I mean, I think that there's something else out there too. But there's people that have had these personal experiences, and everybody thinks that they're crazy. And I really just think it's our brains. Our brains are designed to think that anything that we can't explain, anything that we didn't experience, is crazy. And that being said, it's like, the ghosts and the paranormal stuff is the same way. And I'm guilty of it as well because I am a skeptic. And I mean, I'm not saying that I think people are crazy. I mean, I by no means think people, or at least I like to believe that people don't make these things up. But we are kind of designed to be like, oh, that's something else, or oh, you're crazy, because unless it happens to us personally, it's just a lot easier to just kind of blame the storyteller, or say that
Mhm.
somebody's crazy or they're making something up for attention. And it's just so interesting that we live in this, we as human beings just naturally not believing anybody else unless we've experienced something ourselves, I guess is what I'm getting at. I just found that to be kind of an interesting thought I had last night, kind of preparing for the show today.
Yeah.
And with that being
I'm
said,
I'm kinda opposite because I always want to believe that something's out there and I wanna see something, but I've never really, like, experienced it. I mean, there's been things here and there, but nothing definitive.
well, that's just it. And I mean, I think that, Steve would probably even be able to say that. I mean, now that Steve's had a lot more personal experiences, his mind has probably been changed, but I'm sure even Steve in his life has explained things away that have happened to himself. I mean, I think we all have.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I would say that 99% of the experiences that we have, not just at Colonial Williamsburg, but just in general, that we may have said, whether it be deja vu or thinking you've seen something or heard something, there's a rational explanation for. Uh,
Mhm.
and I mean, 99 times out of 100 or more. But I'm now much more open to the possibility that there are other things going on. And I think that's the biggest thing is you don't necessarily need to wholeheartedly go all into believing in something. But I think it's wise, especially in my age now, to at least have an open mind towards stuff. To say, I don't know everything and I can't explain everything. And although I have a belief system that might be counterintuitive to what I'm seeing or hearing, um, outwardly say that you don't know, and there is a possibility. And the more I've gone there, and the more things that I've experienced firsthand, and as I've told you before, Jake, anytime that anybody has ever told me about it, something that they've experienced in their life, I've listened to it, I've gone along with it, and I've not really 100% believed it because I wasn't there and I didn't experience it. So, and a lot of that goes towards how trustworthy the person is that's telling you that. But I think in a lot of instances too, we truly believe what we saw or what we heard was real. And that's why we have so much conviction in telling other people. It's when you can actually back it up or disprove all of the real life situations and scenarios and have nowhere else to go but the spiritual realm or something else. And that has occurred on several occasions for me there.
That's exactly what I wanted to get in tonight, is that I wanted to go ahead and watch some of these. You've taken a couple of videos while you were there. And again, as you explained to me when you showed me these things, not really expecting much to happen. And one of these videos, I'll let you explain that a little bit more. But I believe you told me that you didn't even hear what we hear in the video while it was happening.
I didn't.
And I was wondering where do you want me to start here? Because I've got three videos here, I
Well,
think.
let's stay in that same room. And right before you play this, I want to apologize ahead of time for anybody who's listening and hears me ramble on a little bit because this is extremely exciting for me, and because it's real, it's something that happened, and so I telling the story and getting back into it and seeing it again and hearing it, it is exciting. And so if I ramble on a bit, you guys feel free to put the chopping block and tell me to shut up for a second.
Anybody that's watched the show knows that you ramble, Steve.
I can't help myself, but in this case, it's even worse. And one more quick thing. I took this video to kind of disprove or I guess, put it back in the faces of all the people that, had made fun of me for the most part over the last, I guess it's almost 9 years now, 8 or 9 years when I took that
Oh my
original photo. I know it's 2016. That was
Wow, that's
2017. So
crazy.
so I took that video to show that there is no way that anybody could hide behind there, that there's no broom or draperies or a trash bag or all the other things that people were telling me that it could have been. So in taking this video, which Jake is getting ready to play, I wasn't expecting to catch anything other than just showing the room. And when you send videos to people, as most of you guys will know and maybe realize now after I tell you, when you send a video after you've taken it, it doesn't automatically play the audio. A lot of times you have to push the little button down in the corner of the screen to bring the audio up. And so I sent it to several people. And lo and behold, my father, of all people, asked me what elephants were running around in the room with me. And that's when I actually listened to it. So I guess from that point, let's play this thing.
Which which just to add really quick to the setting here, he says what elephants are running around that room. Well, we'll get to that after. Let me go ahead and,
Sure.
and share this real quick, and then I'm going to kind of get to that point. So let's see here. All right. So here we're back in the room.
To me,
Mhm.
at least in my ears, it's very muddled, and I don't know how clearly it will come through when
Well,
the
I'm going
show
to try to go
pops up.
ahead and when I edit this, I'm going to go ahead and try to kick up the sound on that if I can. And I'll play it again. Let's go ahead and just talk about it for a second, and then I'll go ahead and play it again, and I'll try to kick the sound up on it. So first, I want to discuss what we were looking at there. So we're looking at the room that we were just talking about, and you can see that there obviously is like zero space there. So that's the first point, and we're beyond that because that's old news at this point. So when you're watching this video, what Steve's father was alluding to is that you can hear like the like clomping of footsteps. Basically, I want to say almost clomping because it does sound almost like that old school, like almost like wooden sole shoes, if you will. Now, the point I wanted to make, Steve, is that what is the setting there? Because I haven't been there, but I'm sure that it would absolutely be completely forbidden, for a lack of better terms, to have your children running around there or to have people
certainly.
running around there. I'm sure it's not the kind of place that people get rowdy in.
Right. And there is hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of items in there. And not to mention just their historic value on top of that. So when you do go through the tour, you have somebody waiting for you at kind of the gate to even get onto the property of the Peyton Randolph House. And then you have another tour guide that takes you into the home to start with. And you start down in the slaves' quarters and work your way through. And as you go, that's the only way to get into the property. As you go, they shut the door behind you and you're supposed to follow along with this tour guide. So what I did was kind of a little bit against what is the norm. They continued on and it was just my wife and two other women with this one tour guide. And they were to my right. And went into the hallway and I just stayed briefly to take that quick video, which was maybe 15 seconds. And so there was nobody behind
24
me.
seconds.
24 seconds. It felt quicker, but the noise that was made initially were my footsteps walking up to that spot. I was wearing hard rubber soled boots and everything's hardwood floor and it kind of creaks a little bit and makes some, and everything bounces in there. The sound quality is very bad. It's like, if you're in a freaking plywood box type of thing, it's just very climby and bangy in there. So, but when I stop and I pan the room just to turn around and come back, the noise and I hope we can get it clearer. And if not, we're going to work something out to where if anybody needs to hear this, I might be able to figure out a way to get the actual.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you hit us up in the comments, and you're
I'm happy
interested,
to talk to anybody, explain anything, or just talk about it to anybody. Certainly let us know through the comments, but I didn't hear anything. So all the noise that my phone picked up was not something that I could hear in real time. And because of that, obviously, I didn't think I had necessarily caught anything until my dad had played it back and it played with volume. So the volume up. So, and it's very distinctive. Now, I've been to several shops throughout, and I've also seen the footwear that everybody wears because, once again, it is period, I would say, accurate. So the shoes that they're wearing, the clothes that they're wearing, there are actually people that are hand stitching and making, and you got the leather guys, the metals, blacksmiths. They're all doing the things that they used to do 300 years ago, and so it definitely sounded like a hard leather sole kind of clanging through the hardwood floors. And it almost, strange enough, as I'm panning around and turning, coming the other way, almost sounds like I'm kind of following them, like they're running through the other room and down the hallway towards the stairs. Once again, I didn't hear any of this until after the fact. You have not seen a more excited and happier person than once I was made aware that there was something there to kind of corroborate once again what I have been saying all along.
So that definitely also would say that there's multiple spirits, if you will, because obviously that was not a child's foot in the first picture, but
Correct.
here in particular has something to it. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, we're going to go ahead and watch that one more time, and then we'll kind of move on. So the description you were saying, you're kind of coming in the room. You're showing us. You took the video and you're showing us that wall there. Yeah, that wall right there, so that we can
Mhm.
kind of see where that there's not really any room for somebody to hide there. And then it kind of sounds like, so if you imagine, from my understanding, Steve, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but when you go into this room and look there, you can see through, there's another door. And then it's kind of like, I would imagine you meet out in the hallway, like it's kind of a roundabout, if you will, sort of thing. Cause it kind of sounds like the steps are maybe running through that room, sort of out towards where you're walking afterwards.
Correct. So this room is adjacent and joins with a back door that is open to the other bedroom that was two nephews of Peyton Randolph. And if memory serves, they were younger than Elizabeth. And I want to say, strange enough, I think it was Randolph Harrison and Harrison Randolph or something weird like that. They both had like opposing names. It was quite comical, but they were younger. And to me, it sounds like two kids playing tag or just running away.
Sounds like they only had about 6 names back then, so they just changed them around.
No kidding. But it definitely sounds like two children or children's footprints, because I weigh 245 pounds and you can hear my feet pretty clearly and how much noise I'm making versus the noise that they're making. Theirs is much more lightweight, but a little more clangy and clattery than mine was. So they were definitely moving quickly and running, and it sounded like a pair.
Let's go ahead and watch it one more time, see if we can get the sound good on that. So anyway, there's that. And I think that's pretty interesting. And again, I would say it's probably to me a little less compelling than the foot picture, but, and, maybe what we need to do is get like Tarantino to weigh in on this foot picture. Like, if he finds it to be exciting, then we know it's real, kind of thing.
And also, if anybody is crazy enough to be watching this right now anyway, who has any sort of ties or people that they know that can, take a look at it and prove the veracity of it, I don't care. I mean, I implore them, for that matter. I really want to show this to somebody, because Jake, I've talked to you about this. I mean, I used to watch Ghost Hunters and all these other shows, and they'd have seasons upon seasons, and all they would catch are these garbled up, EVPs of,
Yeah.
and they'll write down on the bottom of the screen what they think they're saying, and you don't hear that until you read it, and then you start to maybe hear it. And I think that's just your brain trying to tell you something that might not be happening. So I was always put off by all those shows that they weren't catching anything. So the fact that I've got all of this is, to me, some of the most compelling stuff I've ever even seen on TV. And I want to get it out there. I want anybody who has the ability to put this in the right hands to let us know, for sure.
Well, the other thing I thought was funny is that you say that with the sound, it's almost like just static garbling, and they tell you that they said something, and then you kind of start to hear it because the power of suggestion. But I was watching one the other day where it was actually, there was like a mist, a little, I don't even know what it was. It was like, some of the cameras are a little more grainy, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Some of the night vision cameras, especially, it was like that. It was grainy, and they were like, oh, there's like this little discoloration like mist here, and then they like drew an outline around it, and I was like, man, that thing was so like, I mean, you could have drawn anything. You could have literally been like, oh, this is a excavator, or this is a skateboard, or this is a giant lemon, and just drew whatever shape around it, and people would have been like, whoa, it's a giant lemon. They're being haunted by a giant lemon. But I mean, they drew like a picture of like, oh, it's a woman with like a flowy dress, and it's like, I mean, realistically, that thing could have been anything. I mean, any shape you drew around it, it would have looked like. So I know exactly what you're talking about. They kind of, sort of tell you what to see and sort of tell you what to hear, and you do, because
the power of suggestion is real. And people who are watching those shows are on the edge of their seat wanting to see something. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're already kind of primed for it to begin with.
I've been there, man. I watched those shows for years too, and I I was always a little disappointed because they always made it seem so much more exciting in the beginning of the show and kind of
Yeah.
like the, trailers and stuff. Like, and then you'd watch it and be like, I didn't even see the part in the trailer that I was really interested in seeing,
Right.
So
Exactly.
that was always something that kind of I thought was a little funny. I'm going to go ahead and first of all, I'm going to tell everybody right off the bat, like, I'm going to apologize in advance to you for Steve's terrible jokes in this next video. He's got the like corny ass dad jokes down. It is what it is, man.
Yeah,
You watch the show,
I was asked to supply the dad jokes, and I did it.
So, this is Steve kind of, taking the front seat here and giving us some great humor. I can't wait to see a stand-up video on Netflix next month of the second video here. So give us a little bit of a stage for this. We're outside now.
Correct.
Where
And
are we outside?
it is, first of all, it's about 10 o'clock at night. So we're in Virginia, and it's again in December or in the winter time. And so if you're down in this area here, North Carolina, Virginia, those areas, even more so up north, it gets dark quick. And so around 5 o'clock, it's pretty dark outside. So by 10 o'clock at night, it's pitch black. And they don't have the typical street lamps out there. And, for that, real point, any sort of light pollution for that matter. So most of the light that you catch outdoors is either the moonlight itself or a short period of time where they have these hanging baskets where they put logs in and do fires, run for about an hour or so before they burn out. And so this is actually behind a little shop that was owned by somebody named William Prentice. And he'd owned that shop from the early to mid 1700s, or around 1740, if I remember correctly. And the legend states that if you're in that area, that you can communicate with him. And he actually passed away working in his shop. And so that
Wow.
was a story to have happened, that he actually died in that shop. And so there had been tales over the years of people seeing somebody sitting at the desk working even after they've shut the place down and closed it down for the night. So that's kind of one of those spots that you can kind of go to and see what you can find. And so the tour guide that took us out there was not part of Colonial Williamsburg's kind of ghost tours. He was from a separate entity that right out of the gate, it was very intriguing because
Separate entity. That sounds spooky alone. What was this guy like? Just some.
He's
It sounds almost like he either came in from some like spooky secret organization, or he was just some random dude that was just like, "Hey guys, follow me. I know some things."
he was one of the head guys for a different company that runs tours through there, but they are not an affiliation
Oh, okay.
with Colonial Williamsburg.
They were like the B team, or
Well, no,
The
I mean,
beat?
the funny thing is if you've ever gone on a ghost tour anywhere, usually it's
Mhm.
about having fun and just joking around. And it's more about engaging the people and ensuring that they have a good time, and then you tell
Yes.
some stories and see what you can find. Right out of the gate with this guy, it was more serious than it was entertainment. I could see right out of the gate and clearly
At 10 o'clock?
at 10 o'clock at night. We started at
wow.
9. It was supposed to go from 9 to 11, and we went from about 9 to 11:30 because we had times like this that were very productive, we'll say. But the words out of his mouth right out of the gate was that I've been doing this a long time here, and that I want you guys to respect what we're getting ready to do and to think of this more as a opportunity to potentially experience something that you're unfamiliar with and beyond your rationalization or your comprehension. And the way he worded it was very intriguing. Like, we're getting ready to go into the weeds, guys, and this isn't fun and games. This is reality and real. And to be respectful of, in essence, the dead or whom you contact. And then he made it very clear to state that if we have any sort of contact with any entity, if you will, we'll use that again, that we, after the
words, their
fact, request that they stay put and do not follow us.
Wow.
Because, yeah, that's, to me, that's kind of serious stuff. So, and so that's how it all started with him. And right out of the gate, he had me kind of hooked. And you may say, well, that's kind of part of it. That's what they do to from an entertainment purpose. It wasn't. I talked to people all day long for decades and decades, and on a lot of different platforms and work-related issues and stuff. And I know when somebody's storytelling and when they're trying to be captivating and exciting, or if they're just straight up telling the truth. And this guy was in fact doing that. So
not
it was
right.
pretty cool.
What kind of shop was it? That was the only other question I had.
Originally, I think it was almost like what you would equate to like a corner store nowadays, or back in the 80s and 90s, where you just go in, you can get, you might be able to get a newspaper and some milk and bread and, or in this case, textiles or paper to write on, or maybe a strip of leather to fix a shoe or whatever else. Kind of a bunch of different things that he provided. The store now, as it is constituted, has a lot of like kind of copies of what I would, I guess, figure as artifacts of that time period. So like a remake of the original stuff. So you can take home something that was used back then, but made recently by one of the workers that was there, which was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
Awesome.
I do want to make one kind of note so people understand what they're seeing. What we did was we took a flashlight, push button flashlight from the backside with just regular old batteries in it. And we turned the flashlight on with a push button and then unscrewed the filament up front to the point where the light went out. And then we gently set it on this rail. Not unlike a lot of times where you see horror movies where somebody's got the crappiest flashlight of all time and it keeps going out and they're banging it to try to get it to come back on. Nobody was touching anything here. And we were communicating with whom we believe was, gosh, I just said it. Now I'm having
Prentice?
William Prentice. Yep. And we would ask questions like, if, X, Y, and Z, would you turn on the light, please? And sometimes it would come on directly. Sometimes it would take a little bit of time. Sometimes there would be a little bit more power to the light. Sometimes it would be dimmer. It was very intriguing. And as it was happening, as exciting as it was, it felt truly organic too. It was almost like everybody was super comfortable with what was going on. And when in reality, it was quite compelling and very, very exciting. But in doing this, we did catch some audio, which I think is what you're looking for within it, that once again, nobody heard in real time, but I feel as though I caught after the fact in listening to it.
Eyes over a bay. A bagel.
That's as crunchy as they get.
Hey, I know, it's popsicle stick joke.
Hey Jenny, it went from like blinking red to like blinking green really fast.
Oh, did it?
It was like,
yeah.
no.
They're going nuts
Oh,
over
Mr.
here.
Prince didn't like that joke.
You didn't like that joke?
No,
I'm
very
sorry.
good.
Didn't
Now
like
he's
that
back to
joke.
red. Now he's back to red.
Oh, and the light's coming on.
Okay,
Yeah.
come on.
He's
No
like,
kidding.
Oh, yeah, Amanda's
I'm
listening.
sorry,
Yeah.
I told such a bad joke. I'm really not good at this. My husband is much better.
Okay, if you'd like to give us another chance, do us a favor and turn the light off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's awesome. I guess I'll try my dad joke. Let's see. Why was the water afraid of the freezer? Because it heard the ice scream.
Oh, that's good.
And yes, I made that up, surprisingly.
Oh, did you
I'm
like
glad
that
you
one?
enjoyed that one. You did enjoy that one, didn't you?
I gave like a light chuckle over here.
Pretty silly.
Yeah?
Yeah, a light chuckle.
A little.
Yeah.
Just a regular
Very
flashlight.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. It's
If
been
you would
really
like
cool
one more
talking.
joke. Oh,
No, I
Oh,
think
he's
it's
ready.
waiting.
do you want another joke? This one is also quite silly. Why I can't remember how this one goes. Why were the croutons embarrassed by the lettuce? Because it saw the salad dressing. That's pretty bad.
Not impressed.
Not impressed with that one.
You can light the light for me. I tried.
I mean, I do have one bad dad joke I can try. Okay, all right, Mr. Prentice. What did the ocean say to the sea? Oh, it didn't say anything, it just waved.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh, that's bad.
That's
bad. I'm sorry.
that's not good enough.
No.
Well, thank you for
My
showing.
was kind of bad.
Thank you for showing that you're here. Could you give us one more time with the light, please? Can you turn it on one more time for us? Thank you.
even if it's just to say goodnight.
Yeah. We really like your store.
Are you happy to have the company here this evening, Mr. Prentice? Do you appreciate your store? If so, can you cut the light on? Thank
Aw,
you.
Wow.
you.
Thank you very much.
We've enjoyed
That's
your
a bright
company
light.
too.
That is very
He's like,
bright.
you like my store?
Yeah, we
We
like your
appreciate
store.
that. Thank you so much.
He's very proud of his store.
Wow. Yes, he is. In fact, you still work here at this store, I've heard.
Mr. Prentice, if you're still working here at the store, can you do us a favor and back away and turn the light off?
Oh, that's great.
And it's off.
Do we want to ask Mr. Prentice anything else before we move on?
Do you enjoy visitation like this for people to come and meet you?
If so, cut the light on.
Can you turn the light on if you enjoy our company? I know not all these guys are as cool as I am, but well, we enjoyed your company. Thank you for turning the light on for us.
Mr. Prentice. Do you want us to leave? If so, cut the light on. Turn the light on if you're ready for us to leave you. Unless you want more dad jokes.
Oh, do we need to part ways with a joke?
I mean, do you have another?
Would you like one more funny joke? You can turn the light on if you want another
Tell
joke.
a ghost joke.
Oh. Ghost joke sounds good.
All right, Mr. Prentice, one last joke for you, sir, and then we'll part ways. And again, just turn the light on.
Oh,
He's
thank
like,
you.
all
One
right.
last
He's
joke,
like,
one
he's
last
like,
joke.
all right, bring it on, bring
Okay.
it on.
All right. Being the lights on, all you have to do is turn it off if you like the joke. And you might know this one. Why is it so cheap to throw a party in a haunted house? The ghosts bring all the booze.
Ah.
Very nice.
If you like
Very
it, turn
good.
it off for me, Mr. Prentice. If not, no hard feelings, sir. He's like, Denny, you need some new material. Come on.
Thank
Oh.
you.
It was a
Nice.
slow fade to black, but I will
He's
take
like,
it.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you, good sir.
Thank you
Stay
so
here.
much.
We wish you well.
We'll come visit your store tomorrow.
The gentleman that was running this tour had stated that William Prentice was a very serious person, and that he, in running these tours in previous attempts, had found, strangely enough, and I'm not sure how, that when people came up with jokes or tried to lighten the mood with silly humor, that it would cause him to be more engaged, if you will. And so that's when we start saying these silly jokes.
I think I got it now. Let's try this out. You ready?
Yeah, I hear it. A bagel?
He's like,
Are
shut
you,
up, Steve.
You monkeyed that up bad.
'Cause it's
Oh,
So let's pause it right there for a sec, Jake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whose
So
flashlight was that?
it was the guy's flashlight that was doing the tour, and that was the first thing when he handed out certain things. I was like, okay, it's his stuff, so I want to take a look at it, inspect it, understand, know what's going on. The first thing that I was thinking when the light came on initially was that, where's this guy's hands? Are they in his pockets? Does he have some sort of like remote control to turn the flashlight on or anything like that? His hands were out, and he was not doing anything to kind of augment the light in any form or fashion. And not only that, even if he did have something that was able to turn something on and off, it would not have the ability to adjust the power of the light itself. It was just a typical handheld, $10 flashlight you'd get at Lowe's or Home Depot or something. But during that time, right before the light went out, and it didn't come up quite as clearly as it does on my phone. It's super loud, but there's about a 10-second moment where it almost sounds like off in the distance there is like a rustling of leaves, or like a almost like a horse-drawn kind of carriage clacking over cobblestone, and it gets louder and louder and louder until the point where I come around the corner and I'm just kind of videoing the flashlight itself, and then the moment that light goes out, it stops completely. And once again, that was
wow.
not something that we heard in real time, but it's something that I, after watching the video multiple times, picked up on.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and try to play that louder, that part right now.
Mr. Prentice, if you're still working here at the store, can you do us a favor and back away and turn the light off?
Oh, that's great.
And so we just heard that louder. But anyway, so the setting out there is, you said we're just talking about like the sound of leaves rustling. So how do we know that's not what it is? Like what's the setting out there? Tell us about what's going on.
Well, it was a very calm night. There was no wind or breeze, and there's no trees in that area, or really leaves for that matter. So, and after a couple of listens, initially, it kind of sounds like my jacket here. It sounded like some rustling, but
You weren't wearing that jacket that night, right?
I was not. I was wearing a cotton hoodie.
All right. Just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely. It was something, once again, that is extremely loud in my recording on my phone, and a little bit clearer than what I could hear in this particular one. Maybe it'll be louder when we air this, but
Oh, I'm sure I can jack the sound up, man. I think I already did.
yeah, because
gonna
you hear
play it
me
during that
talking.
part.
I sound extremely loud because I'm holding the phone right in front of my face like this while I'm recording. So I'm louder than anybody else usually anyway. And then you
Yeah.
put the phone right in front of my face. But yeah, it was, and I was also trying to be the guide's advocate a little bit too. Trying to I don't work for the guy or anything, but I wanted to try to be his right-hand man, I guess, in this instance, to try to not just here, but in other locations, keep the party going, if you will. And
Participatory.
that's correct. So, and as I was watching this stuff and saying the words that I was saying, I was also highly motivated to find out why and what was going on beyond what the spiritual possibility could be. Is, like I said, is he working that light from a remote control? Is there, are there strings on the marionette type of thing? And to my knowledge, I didn't see anything that led me towards believing that.
Excellent. All right. Well, is there anything else on this one, or we?
No, it goes on for a while. I would just say that when the young lady that was with us had mentioned that she liked the store, you saw too, there was some conversation that went back and forth that didn't yield any result. And sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. But when she said, we really like your store and enjoy your store, that seemed to evoke the brightest response out of anything that we had seen up to that point. So that was kind of cool.
He was happy.
It almost did seem like he was.
All right. Well, let's see if he's got anything else to say. Denied.
Oh, the flashlight would kind of flicker and dim a little bit and get brighter and stuff.
Yeah.
To me, that's very similar to when your flashlight's either running out of battery or has a poor connection. You'll get that, not so much in newer flashlights, whatever was providing that spatial distance between the battery and the actual filament or the light itself was stronger at some times and lesser at others. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, that was cool.
Very interesting. So, let's see.
How long is that tour? So it's 2 hours?
It's supposed to be 2 hours. It ends at the Peyton Randolph House outside of the house. And so that's kind of where it's supposed to end. But we stayed for a while at William Prentice's, and we actually had a lot of cool things happen outside of the house at Peyton Randolph's place too. None of which I was, to my knowledge, caught up in other things and didn't film any of it. So I was kind of experiencing it firsthand and didn't have my phone out at that moment. But there were some kind of cool things that went down.
We've kind of discussed it off camera, but I think maybe episode 3 of the Peyton Randolph House might be an investigation. So we will definitely be going there with the intentions of filming everything.
Absolutely. Nonstop, because it's
audio, video.
There's stuff going on there. I want to prove to everybody that this is, I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just showing what I've caught. I can't explain it. And it's real to me because I've experienced it.
That's neat.
Yeah, and there's so much here. I mean, there's so much history and so much to unpack that we've done 2 episodes now on kind of evidence that you found while you've been there. And, I also probably think that at some point in time, we might just do an episode about the history, because there's a lot of really interesting history. There's a lot of recipes here for hauntings, if you will. Some of the stuff that I've read, I mean, it's just classic, this is where ghosts would come from kind of stuff. Besides that, before we wrap up here, was there any other personal experiences or anything that you might want to share that you either didn't get on film or audio?
Yes. So the first time I was there, I should say the first time I experienced something, because we've been going there for decades now, was back in 2017. We were in a place called the Weaver House. And it is exactly what it sounds like. They're weaving rugs and clothes and things of that nature. And I had a tug on my shoulder, a double tug like this. And that was back in 2017, to the point where I looked to see if it was one of my children. And I was up in the corner of the room where there was nothing to catch my shoulder. It wasn't a muscle spasm or anything like that. It literally yanked my damn shoulder twice. And I laughed out loud in front of several people that was involved in the tour, to the point where the tour guide stopped and he's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll tell you later." So that was something that was really exciting for me to actually firsthand experience something, not just visually or audio, but to actually feel something tangibly. So when we went back this most recent time, that was actually the first place we went into, was the Weaver home. And the setup was a little bit differently in there, the way they had we'll call it the looms, if you will. But I was in there for no more than 3 minutes with my wife, just her and I this time. And I had, like I said, that cotton hoodie with the sleeves pulled up like this to my elbows, and my left arm, my wife was on my right, my left arm like this, clear as day, had not just a touch, but like wrapped around my hand, around my arm, and dragged down just like this over my hand.
Ooh, a ghost arm.
And it was my arm, but
I mean, it goes to the end.
Nobody was next to me. It was like, when it happened, I could feel myself start to like grin and kind of get excited, like, holy crap. And I looked down at my arm and all my hairs were sticking up. And
what does that mean?
I have no idea.
That's weird.
I mean, if you were to, I mean, I don't know how hairy your arms are, Liza, but if you gently brush over your arm or get like a cold chill or anything like that, sometimes it can stimulate the hair follicles and stuff to kind of stand straight up. And I don't know, it was pretty wild. And I also got to say during all of this that I've never had a feeling of dread or being scared or like anything sinister or evil or anything like that. It's all been very kind of exciting and but it doesn't feel
playful.
It is. It does. Anything that I've experienced there or caught on camera or through video or anything, none of it seems nefarious in any way or evil. It all felt calm and just kind of, I've used the term a bunch of times, but organic, just happening. And I didn't feel scared or anything like that. I was just excited to have been able to experience it. So
That's
kind of interesting. That's an interesting concept, really, when you think about it, because typically, this show is horror based, and I'm a big horror fan, and you guys watch a lot of horror as well. You guys are big horror fans. That's kind of why we do what we do. But it's interesting because the supernatural or paranormal is always kind of in the frame of horror, or it's in the frame of being scary or creepy. And it's kind of interesting the way you describe it as, it's almost like a completely different, it's almost like a completely different genre, if you will. It's almost, like the nice parts of the movie Ghost is what, you're experiencing out of there, and not the scary parts, if you will. It's kind of, you always, it's just interesting, to think about the whole experience and everything in more of a nice way,
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if I'm by myself at, like, I don't know, pick one of those haunted prisons or something in the middle of the night, and I'm by myself and I get that brush across my arm, maybe I'm a little more worried about it and scared and not being in broad daylight in public with other people. But at no point in time, even during the evening when we did the night tour, was I ever fearful in any way, or did I feel any sort of dread or sadness or anger or hatred or what? I mean, fill in the blank. Everything just felt peaceful and calm. So
I
that
mean,
was pretty wild.
if ghosts are real, and I'm a skeptic, so I say it like that. If ghosts are real, though, I mean, I would imagine that what it would be the energy left from a human being, because and scientific thought, I guess, energy can't necessarily die or disappear. Energy needs to be, moved from one thing to another, if you will. So I do believe that if there are ghosts, that's probably what it is. It's leftover energy or something to that effect. But in those terms, when you think about a haunting, I would imagine that probably the vibes and energy would be very different in a prison than somewhere like Colonial Williamsburg, which probably, I mean, realistically, the history I was looking at, it didn't look like it was necessarily a bad place. I mean, it looked like it might have been a place where there was a lot of good feelings and emotions. I'm sure there was a lot of drama and a lot of, traumatic times for, any city or town, but it didn't, nothing really struck me as this is a terrible place where people were, tortured or imprisoned or, I mean, so that energy probably would be a lot different, if in fact there were spirits there.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was a prison there too. Because just like, since the beginning of time, there's always been bad people. So there was an area, and we weren't able to get to that particular area. It was under renovation. And I had been told by one of the employees of Colonial Williamsburg that at one point in time, they were digging up some of the ground around the prison, and they had found dozens, if not hundreds, of what they thought were soldiers that were buried in a shallow grave.
Oh,
So that was
wow.
pretty wild, and that might have been why that was all kind of shut off to the public at that moment. I don't know exactly.
I did
when
read that there was what did it say? It said during the I did read that there was a lot of soldiers that were taken there and kind of cared for that died in Colonial Williamsburg during the times of wars and things. So I mean that would probably check out from the history I was reading.
And I feel like I have a little bit of a kind of connection there for obvious reasons. It'd be no different than, if I've been to Disney 100 times and I'm taking a friend for the first time. I want to show everybody everything and experience it with them. And so I'm excited when we all get to go together. I'm excited for both me and maybe more so for you guys, because it is really, really cool. There's so much history there. And if nothing else, you can kind of absorb and just feel it takes you back in time. And it's an awesome experience all the way around.
Well, I'm going to go there open-minded, but I will tell you that I do kind of want to take on the role of, like, hopefully the skeptic asshole that gets proven wrong. That's what I would like to have happen. But I will go with an open mind. I mean, this stuff is everything you bring me, man. I mean, I know you. I know you're a stand-up guy. I mean, I would trust you with my life. I mean, people that don't know you, I don't really care what they think. But I'm telling you that I personally would consider myself to be a good judge of character, and I believe everything that you say as far as what you feel and what you have, and especially the evidence that you've shown me. Like I said, for me not experiencing it, I'm not really sure. I mean, the skeptic in me is like, I know that's what you think it is, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Right. And that's just not me being rude or mean to you by any means. Sure. That's just, how I feel about things. But I definitely think it's compelling enough that we're talking about it right now for sure. So I can't wait to go, because I would love to be shut up in this instance, to be quite honest with you. I would love for a Williamsburg spirit to be like, hey, Steve's my boy. I'm going to show you some shit. And I would love for that to happen.
And I'm there for it. I mean, I'm excited to see what's next for me too. And I've told everybody that I've shared this with, my friends and family and stuff. I'm not trying to convert anybody's belief system or say this is true and this is real and this is how it is. I'm sharing what I experienced, and you can take it as you will. And if you believe it or not, I don't give two craps about it. I really don't. I mean, it's real in the fact that I experienced it, and I cannot disprove it otherwise to be anything other than something spiritual. And but I also, over the years, have come to realize that one person's experience for one person to another is different to each individual. And so what might scare one person won't another. What compels somebody to believe something different than what they originally did might not be enough for another person. And so I get that. And I just
that's-
ask people to have an open mind, I guess.
And that's one thing that I like about trying to find evidence, and I like about the ghost hunting shows and everything, is because when you have something on tape, when you have something on film, when you have something, I know that there's a lot of ways to doctor audio and video and even photographs these days and everything. But having that kind of evidence, especially from a trustworthy source, which, like I said, I don't really care what anybody thinks about you or us in that fact, that's listening. I mean, if you know me, you know how I am. If you know Steve, you know how he is, and you get a good feeling about people. But when you have that, when somebody that you trust comes to you with the things, it does make it a lot more viable for sure. I mean, it's that's why I think we all want the proof, is so that we can know, and seeing is believing for the most part. Liza, where do you stand on all this? Because you've been, I know I've been talking over you a little bit, and I'm sorry about that,
I've
but
got a lot to say as always.
you're kind of sitting there. You've watched this with us. What are you thinking?
Well, I love stuff like this, and I love because I've been on ghost tours and stuff too, and I know what you mean. I went to St. Augustine, the lighthouse, and I just wanted to see a ghost so bad.
Did you see anything, or?
I didn't, because one of the ghosts, her name was Eliza, and I wanted to see Eliza so bad, and I kept saying Eliza, where are you? And I would try to go to the places where they said she would be, and I never saw anything. But I did feel I know what you mean, when you say you don't feel anything sinister or anything, it kind of felt kind of exciting, and there was a playfulness about it, because there were 3 little girls. And so I thought it was very interesting that you said that, because I have actually experienced, there have been things in people's houses where they've said that other people have seen stuff. And I have gotten a very creepy, I have to fight or flight, run out of this room type of vibe. And so I definitely know exactly what you're talking about. When you say I think that there are some energies that I have felt a lot of energies, and especially hiking and stuff. I've experienced some things in the woods, areas in the woods that have felt really creepy and just a really bad vibe. And then I found out later that there was battles and stuff there. And so I definitely feel that the energy, however, I think it's the energy of the person too. So, I'm really excited to go there, because I like those interesting kind of vibes there. And also when I went to St. Augustine, me and my mom, we stepped out of the car and we kind of stood around, and we both felt very emotional about it. It was a very emotional, but not sad emotional, just kind of an exciting kind of emotion. So I think historical places can hold stuff like that as well. And I don't know quite what that is. I've never actually seen visually anything, but I have felt a lot of different things. And so I think our intuition kind of tells us a little bit of stuff that our eyes can't see, but our feelings and our bodies kind of feel it.
Well, I think a thing that also makes a lot of people skeptical and makes me skeptical is I've had loved ones who have passed away, and I'm like, how come these people don't try to contact me? How come these people don't try to reach out to me? But then we go to a place like Williamsburg and we've got, Mr. Piss talking to me, but my grandfather won't stop in and say hello, for example. Things like that. I think that a lot of skeptics are like, what's going on there? And I mean, maybe those are answers that we won't know until we're gone, if there is something after all of this, but
one thing I want to kind of come off of that with, Jake, because that's a good point, and it's something that I've thought about a lot, and I actually talked to my dad about this just a couple of weeks ago, is that, for example, the noise that was caught on my phone, but I didn't hear with my own ears. Potentially there is a certain frequency or specific type of energy that, whether it's a specific hertz, no different than AM radio or FM radio or anything like that, that we can't hear it until we have something that can decipher it. I can't hear the radio until I turn on the radio and realize that there's a ton of music out there that's playing on different frequencies and different channels. And so if I'm not in tune to that, how can I receive what is in fact being broadcast? And so I wonder if, when it comes to the spiritual realm, if there is that sweet spot or that kind of resonance or frequency or hertz, if you will, that these spirits are able to communicate with. Because there's been shows where I've watched where there's clearly stuff that is able to be heard in real time. And that seems to be what's the case in virtually every show I've ever seen, Rarely have I seen something that they caught an audio after the fact that they didn't hear in the moment. And I've done that multiple times. So obviously my cell phone is able to pick up something that my ear couldn't. And so, quite frankly, that's from an audio perspective. Maybe from a visual perspective, it's very similar too. You may have experienced things that you didn't realize you experienced because you weren't in tune to it at the moment. So, or it's there right in front of you, just like all of the radio waves, and Netflix is bouncing around here and everything else, and we can't see any of it until it goes to our TV, and then it can decipher that. So if I had to guess, I would say that the spiritual realm, if you believe in that, works possibly the same type of way. It's just a matter of figuring out how to receive that.
And that's the interesting part, because it's like, as a human being, you can't just turn that on and off either, because it's sort of like religion or faith in general, in the fact that it's like, am I going to go to heaven? Do I believe in God? Well, if I say I believe in God, does that mean I really believe in God? How do you know if you really believe in God? I mean, how do you know that you really are open to spirits? How do you know that you're really, open to the paranormal, if that's what you're saying? It's kind of one of those things where it's like, even if you want to be, you can't necessarily be.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think some people, I mean, we've all heard of people that are sensitive to things, whether you want to call them psychics or, what have you, that might have a easier time receiving that sort of information than other people. And then some people may be more of a conduit to receiving it as well. From like me, Kristen, my wife said, why is this happening to you and not to me? And I don't know. I don't know why it is happening to me. In fact, if anything, it should be happening to her, because she believed in all that stuff much more than I did. I was the skeptic. I was a person that said, no, there's no way there's a rational explanation. And yet it's happening to me. So, and because of that, I've opened up my mind and realized that I don't know everything. And I have to be in tune to accepting the possibility that there is something else out there. And I'm here to tell you that you guys are going to have a good time when we go. I'm certain of it.
I'm excited. We'll have to see what happens. And, hopefully we'll get some more stuff then. And, like I said, between now and then, maybe we'll actually just kind of sit here and kind of, run over some of the history and stuff before we go, because I think it'd be kind of interesting to kind of get an idea of some of these things. I don't necessarily want to plant anything in our minds about what's there or anything, but I mean, it's just an interesting part of history that I think would be fun to talk about at the same time. So we might go ahead and get into that another time. Go ahead and comment if you think that's a great idea, if you want to hear anything about that. I mean, I've been reading some of the stuff. It's pretty interesting. If you want us to go over some of it while you're cruising or chilling at work or whatever, that's when I usually listen to or watch my YouTubes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And if you guys are all good, I'm going to say goodnight here. We've gone well over an hour, so try not to, so people can stay kind of tuned in. But, I hope you enjoyed this evidence. I'll go ahead and show a short clip of everything at the end here, so you can kind of see it all again. And we're going to be back at some point to talk about this some more. I feel like this is definitely going to be an ongoing.
Any questions anybody has, I'm happy to answer them too. Put them in the comments for us.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody for watching and listening, and we'll see you again real soon.
Bye, y'all.
Didn't like that joke.
Now he's back to red.
Oh, and the lights coming on.
Awesome.
No
like,
kidding.
Oh, yeah, Amanda's
I'm
listening.
sorry I told such a bad joke. I'm really not good at this. My husband is much better.
Okay, if you'd like to give us another chance, do us a favor and turn the light off. Oh, that's good.
And yes, I made that up, surprisingly.
Oh, did you
I'm
like
glad
that
you
one?
enjoyed that one. You did enjoy that one, didn't you?
I gave like a light chuckle over here.
Pretty silly.
Yeah?
Yeah, light chuckle.
A little.
Yeah.
Just a regular flashlight.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. It's
If
been
you would
really
like
cool
one
to
more
talk to you.
joke,
Do appreciate your store. It's so. Can you cut the light on?
Aw,
Thank you.
thank
Wow.
you.
thank you very much.
We've enjoyed
That's
your
a bright
company
light.
too.
That is very
You
bright.
like